to arranging them.
Maybe like they do for certain other religions?
Yeah, maybe that's what we need to do. We need to let our parents pick our brides or our husbands and get back to that. Of course, if they're Christians, then we still have the same problem. It's not going to win. Anyway, we're going to go to a break here. When we come back, I want to get into Joe's article. Joe you heard a piece of his article earlier. Very interesting article on the Religious Freedom Restoration Act in terms of the attack against the church, which is where we're going with this. Before the night is over, you will understand very clearly what I'm talking about. So stay with us right here on the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back. You can catch all our show archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted financial expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known and syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time, firsthand, from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Bob airs live every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on blogtalkradio.com/Robert Cardoso Live, or you can choose any one of his archive shows at blogtalkradio.com/Robert Cardoso Live. That's blogtalkradio.com/Robert Cardoso Live. For complete and honest commentary on politics, finances, and culture, check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. Your host, John Matthews, on a mission from God, mad prophet of the airways, on a mission from God, and we're just glad that you took the time to listen to us. We attempt so hard to be a show that educates, informs, and engages our audience, and we're glad you took the time to listen to us tonight. I've got my co-host Joe Hakos from Dryer Report, and we're talking about the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. And just before I turn it over here to Joe for him to talk about an article that I think is very appropriate in line with what my objective or our objective tonight in terms of discussion on this issue, is just real quick what the Religious Freedom Restoration Act is and how it came to be. It was enacted by the 103rd Congress back in 1993. It was introduced as H.R. 1308 by Chuck Schumer, none other than Chuck Schumer, heir apparent to Harry Reid, on March 11th, 1993. It was signed by then President Clinton on October 27th, 1993, by a 97-3 roll call vote. 97-3 in the Senate, and let's see, what else here we had. Then it was amended in 1997 because the Supreme Court heard another case involved with this law and determined that the federal government had overreached its authority on the states. And so states started to adapt their own versions of this law. And in essence, this is what the law is about. it says that a person cannot, or an establishment or a corporation, or at that time it was a nonprofit, it was really primarily for nonprofits, cannot be held or penalized for refusing to do something against their religious beliefs. That was the general thrust of this thing. A couple of ex-rehab workers had been fired for smoking peyote in their drug rehab clinic, and I guess it was part of the religious ritual up there in the reservation under the Native American Church. And this is what brought this whole thing about. So it wasn't even about homosexuality or anything else. It was about being able to get stoned at church. And it was determined that people should be able to do that, if that's part of their ritual. So having said that, Joe, you had a really interesting article on this. You want to share that?
The collective mandate is by a friend of mine, Michael Smith, and I put it on the Dryer Report with his permission, of course. And basically, it says this is not about freedom of religion or anything else. This is about a mandate from the LGBT, those folks, and basically, and they're activists because most of these folks that you're hearing from aren't homosexuals in nature. They're just out there raising Cain because they've got a microphone or whatever, or a phone or a pen, and that's what they're doing. But basically, it said from the start, these controversies have exhibited a singular theme. It has not really been about any gay couple being denied services. It has been about gays. It has been about gays being denied services by a specific entity. In every case, they were easily able to obtain services from other companies, but like a raging 2-year-old, I love how Mr. Smith puts this, but like a raging 2-year-old, they threw a hissy fit because they can't have exactly what they want. In most cases, the businesses have been specifically targeted because the LGBT antagonists knew in advance that the business owner would object. And he puts in it, Mommy, I don't want that one. I want that one. Make them give me that one, Mommy. This is not the equivalent of a civil rights struggle with Rosa Parks sitting in the back of the bus. Nobody's saying homosexual unions must be banned, as they did when they had laws against interracial marriages. Nobody's proposing legislation to prevent LGBT weddings being photographed or denying wedding cakes or even pizzas if they want it. And just heads up, the pizzeria in Indiana through the GoFundMe donations has just topped $800,000, just so you know.
Yeah.
And what is being said that any business owner has the right not to render those services if they have religious convictions against gay marriage, that no one should be forced to participate in anything they have religious convictions against. That's what the law is. It's not about, hey, you're denying services. Nobody's denying services. What the law does is give people that have a religious objection to it not being forced to do it.
Yeah, I think you brought up the pizza parlor. Okay?
Yes.
And this is really something. Just a quick point about this.
Yep.
One of the things that we need to understand is that how quick the Christian community can come together when they want to.
Yes.
This idea, over I think it's like $874,000 has been raised in this woman in less than a week. But along with that, we had the Chick-fil-A thing where the homosexuals came out against Chick-fil-A. And I think for a couple of days there were a lot of Chick-fil-A's, I know down here where I lived, that were closing half days because they were running out of stuff. They had
they ran out of food.
They couldn't get stuff in fast enough to serve them, that kind of thing. We've had instances where the Christian church can come together, and just basically what you see here is when the Christian church bands together, these people back off like a hot potato. I was saying, I mentioned it before. What was it down in Houston? The mayor of Houston?
Yes, Mayor Houston.
Who demanded pastors to turn in their sermons.
Yeah.
So they could see if they could determine whether they were breaking the 501c code. And all the pastors banded together and said, come after us. Not only will we give you the notes, we'll give you the sermons. And we dare you to come after us.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
kind of thing. And these people will back off. Now, along the other side of this thing is this idea that, as Joe's pointing out here, the guy that had the cake shop, what was it? Not in Oregon. The one in Oregon shut down, but I think there's one in Colorado.
Yeah.
That was being reported that he shut down, and he actually went on Rush Limbaugh's show and said, "No, you're misreporting information here. I'm not shut down." But what he said was he was thinking about discontinuing making wedding cakes for anybody, so that nobody could complain about the fact that he was being choosy. Now, think about how that affects a community.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the idea that a baker is not going to do his job for anybody, so that he doesn't have to violate his beliefs. Now, the other thing the guy said, which I think is really the crux of what we're dealing with here, is he said, "I don't mind making anything else for these guys. I'll do anything else they want me to do. I just won't do the cake because that is asking me to participate in something I am against based on my religious beliefs." So he's basically saying, "I'll provide you any other service.
Yes.
Any other service you want. I just won't do this." Okay? And
Yes.
I don't know. I think he got fined. I don't know how much he got fined, but I know like the shop up in Oregon just shut down. They just said, "Oh, we can't pay this fine. We're done." We're
Well,
over with.
Mr. Smith hit on this in the article that he penned
Okay,
for me.
go ahead.
And he said, "Personally, my libertarian streak causes me not to care whether same-sex couples want to pledge their troth to each other. And while I oppose gay marriage on religious grounds, I do not think that government should treat all legal unions the same way. That being said, a free people must never accept the government enforcement of an approved belief. People with a religious objection to gay marriage are getting an invitation to nuptials where their attendance is mandatory. And not only that, they will be forced to honor the simply fabulous same-sex couple with a toast. What I do care about is an overweening government forcing the dissenting Christian Americans to be the best man and maid of honor."
Ah, okay. Oh, wow. I like that. That's pretty well put.
Yes, it is very, and Mr. Smith usually does that quite well. That's why I enjoy putting his stuff up there.
Yeah, and the thrust of this whole thing being is that, it falls into that same box or label. See, this is something that we really need to understand. The Christians really need to understand this.
Well, let's do this.
Okay.
Here, let me just play this real quick.
What this is about is enshrining a precedent of government denial of the First Amendment, displacement of Christianity, and the enforcement of government-approved beliefs in the vacuum that remains. This is about a minority group bullying the majority and seeking to force uniformity and conformity of an approved belief. This is not individual choice. This is collective mandate.
There you go.
Yes, and I like the idea that he brings out the fact that what this is a minority. It's basically the concept. This is Alinsky stuff.
Yes,
The
exactly.
the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You make the most noise, and people will give you what you want. Or the way I like to refer to it is, it's the spoiled brat in the middle of Walmart that the mom keeps giving him what he wants off the shelf to shut him up.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
she won't be embarrassed.
See, and Michael has covered all this in this one little short piece.
Yeah, beautiful piece of work. Beautiful piece of work. We got to go to the top of the hour here. We're going to do our Edwards Notebook, pay a couple bills, and we'll be coming into the second hour. Karen Sigmund from Rage Against the Media will be with us. We'll continue this discussion, and then we'll talk also about Iran and the Rolling Stone debacle over at the West Virginia University campus. So stay with us right here on the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
One has to wonder if America will put up or fold up. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, I am still amazed at the phenomenal speech Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave when he addressed Congress. In fact, I would have to say that was the best speech in that historic congressional edifice since the heady days of Ronald Reagan. Unfortunately, as well done and spot on as